What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin price chart along with the total market cap of the cryptocurrency market, of course, with XRP and the altcoin market as the price of Bitcoin approaches $100,000 this morning, poking right on through that 702 Fibonacci retracement level overnight. We've been talking a lot about that level. I did not think that the 702 would be our problem this go around. I think that go around, it could end up being our problem in something like that, but nice to see that it isn't, at least so far. Now, of course, still big questions on how this thing is going to tame out here, where it's going to tame out, where an ABC correction can come into play. And my thoughts are we don't actually see the really crazy stuff happen in the market until we actually get through that phase happening and wherever that's going to happen from. You know, there's still that open door of concern of whether or not we're going to test back down into these levels again. But like we've talked about in past videos, to get this high, you don't typically get all the way back up here and then eventually go and do that. So it's really just been straight line up, and we're just getting through all the retracement levels. So it's so far still continuing to follow the modeling that we've been following for the last several months. Now, if you look over there on the right side of the screen, you'll see there's quite a bit of green happening over there in the crypto market. Ethereum's even made its way up a little bit higher, is really just tons of green everywhere. And as XRP punches its way back up as well. But things I often talk about a lot are things called confluence, where certain things happen together or specific events happen together, and you have to be like paying really close attention to be able to notice them. Bitcoin historically has had a lot of reactions that happen at the 702 Fibonacci retracement level. We've watched it happen in multiple bull markets that like the retracements will come in here, and then that's where everything stops and turns itself over once it gets back to those 702 retracements. We saw that at the top of the 2017 bull run. We saw it at the top of the 2021 bull run. We've seen that in various corrections for Bitcoin, but oftentimes, you know, like in the intro of this YouTube channel, you see the, you know, the BCB character, he gets back to the 702. He's kind of nervous. He's scared. Boom, he busts out of it, right? It's because it's been such a significant level in the crypto market for that to happen. And so if we go down to just like the hourly time frame to see where this happens here, you can see this poke through the 702 retracement happens here at 3 a.m. UTC time on the 1 hour candle chart. Well, I don't know if you can notice it here, but this is the total market cap of the entire crypto market. And we could see that something interesting also happened over here on this chart on today's daily candle, in that we have actually poked back above the 2021 all-time high. This is a significant level for the last 4 years that we just so happened to get through at this moment. And if you look at it on the 1 hour time frame, what time does it bust out of it? And then backtest, you can see it right here. Boom. 3 a.m. UTC time. The exact same time Bitcoin gets through the 702 retracement. Those are things of confluence of interest to me, that these were like actual significant real moves that happened in here. People will scrutinize the 702 retracement all they want, even though it has such a long track record of precision, including just last year when the altcoin market went back to the 702 retracement and got rejected from it, and the crowd was in complete euphoria. But it's interesting to see, here we are, 3 a.m. UTC, Bitcoin pokes through the 702 Fibonacci retracement, and at the exact same time, the total market cap of crypto pokes back through the 2021 all-time high and then goes on to backtest it here earlier this morning. So it'll be interesting to see how this thing closes out today and how this continues. But what do we see? We see it getting through the 702. We see the total market cap getting back through the all-time high. And then we see a reaction happening over there in the altcoin market on the right side of the screen with green everywhere. So, you know, there may have been something to that. We'll give it a little time to play out today so we can check on it tomorrow to see how the follow through is. But those are things of confluence that I pay attention to when significant things happen at the exact same time that otherwise would be chalked up to being like a simulation, coincidence. How could both of those events possibly happen at the exact same time to get through a 702 and to get through the all-time high on literally the exact same hourly candle? Typically when those things happen, they mean something. So keep your eyes peeled to if that was actually some type of triggering moment. Now, when I run this through my head of how like I can imagine things playing out, my thoughts are that we can probably see a shift up happen throughout the cryptocurrency market and throughout the altcoin market. But I think all of us are probably here for more of like the big stuff, the glory stuff, the bigger moves. And so like, I'm going to be cautious kind of, in any moves that we see in the altcoin market right now, that it's really just kind of retracement behavior happening for the altcoin market until something like this plays out. And that the real excitement starts actually happening in a moment like this for Bitcoin. If we kind of reflect back on what it was like for the cryptocurrency market in this example right over here on the right side of the screen, which, we're mirroring pretty good, which is really just a version of this right in here, ABC and then push, right? ABC and then push. There was a lot of altcoin action that happened throughout here, but it's really just what we exactly talked about, where that action was a push into the retraces. And then if you recall, for things like XRP to go from 50 cents to $3, it happens in this move, right? So, if we're already working on something like that, I could see an optimistic scenario where we do see some upward action happening throughout the altcoin market. But, theoretically, my emotions are keeping themselves in check of like big moon green euphoria insanity not happening until we can get beyond that. If this thing changes in shape and form, we'll just kind of address it and roll with the punches as they come. But so far, it's done very well to act just like that. So we could be setting ourselves up for a nice retracement happening in the altcoin market, then going into consolidation. And my thoughts are the real excitement comes in that moment right there, which is kind of the same messaging that I continue to portray. But the fact that we're seeing reactions happen in the crypto market right now, we see the total market cap poking through the all-time high as Bitcoin gets through the 702. Hey, there's like a realistic shot we could see some action in the altcoin market to at least push itself back up into retracements, because we're pretty far behind in the altcoin market compared to Bitcoin right now, right? Like Total 2 still has a ways to go to get up there. So it's very possible that before Bitcoin shifts into like an ABC correction, that we see price action shift its way back up in here first as well. And frankly, I would expect that. But I know that we're all looking for that stuff, including me. But I think there's still just a couple processes first before we get there. But still, I think relief would probably be welcomed by anybody. And we'll see if today's events of that break of the all-time high for total and the break of the 702 becomes a more triggering event with some follow-through happening in there. Because you could see things like SWE over here now poking back up above these highs that have happened over the last couple of weeks in here. There's another poke higher. It's getting into its retracements, which I think SWE has been a leader. And I think if SWE is going to be kicking off a third wave leg in here, I don't think this one's going to be independent. We did see a lot of this stuff happen in here independently back in 2024 when it gave the sign where it goes from, a $1 billion market cap to a $3 billion market cap, really in a blink of an eye being a leader. But I don't think it would make the next move independently. I think the next ones would be accompanied by the rest of the market at the same time. For things like XRP, it seems like it's just waiting for that triggering to happen. Historically, all the moves that have happened for XRP that are of any significance and that actually lead to expansionary moves are happening in those environments where the rest of the market is doing that. So we're starting to see potential signs of that, looking for follow through to happen there with Bitcoin, to happen with the total market cap, to see those other altcoins start to push up right now. Our modeling has worked very well here for the last several months, barring any major surprises. It still seems like there's still a bumpy road ahead before we hit that. So I think, we could potentially see a retrace happen in XRP, but for me, it's not so much about that. I'm really looking for that 4.236 extension to come on the market cap and kind of just being mindful of what environment do you need for something like that to occur. And my thoughts are we either have to be in this environment or in this environment to see that actually happen. And so I look to the fact that I think there's probably still that step ahead. So we could see like a drift up happen in XRP, or it just kind of stays still until the ABC plays out. But as you guys know, like the most popular asset that gets covered on this channel is XRP. It's my largest bag that I have. But we spend a lot of time focusing on Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin's nowhere close to the amount of XRP I have, because I understand the dynamics of this market, that we have to like enter into certain phases in the market for things to expand. I'm not in the camp of like flip the switch or all the money or these things are going to happen that's going to make the price pump. We've watched it throughout all of history. It doesn't matter what good news happens or like if XRP is declared not a security, you can catch a temporary pump, but it's just going to take it all back, right? In order for the expansionary moves to actually happen, we have to have the conditions present in the market. And so I'm trying to line us up to say, where do those conditions become present in the market that would push the whole cryptocurrency market up and in the end push XRP up at the exact same time? And that's why we focus on that so much, because once those conditions line up, that's when everything ends up happening for XRP every single time throughout all of history. That's what is always needed for every single bull run, including the most recent one we saw in November, December, and January. The good news is we're appearing to follow everything that we need to be following in here. There's still just a couple more steps in here, unless if a surprise happens and something crazy happens to the upside or something like that. I just continue to kind of focus on it from this perspective, saying we're doing exactly what we should be doing for that to eventually come, and that's likely the moment where it starts shooting off to the upside. And so far, so good. And we'll see what type of follow through is present today, but there's likely still a bumpy road. But when you look at it from the big picture perspective, that bumpy road seems to be okay. So we'll see what today has in store for us, with total getting back through the all-time high from 2021 and Bitcoin poking above the 702 at the same time. The entire altcoin market is green today. And we'll see if that was like a triggering event happening in there, or what the market has to say about that in the coming days. But quite interesting confluence. So, all right. That pretty much covers what's going on in the market today. Yesterday, of course, we had the Fed meeting. No changes, no certainty, nothing but uncertainty from the Fed. That was to be expected. In tomorrow's video, we'll take a peek at everything going on as we close out the week and see if there's any follow through from this move at the all-time high and at the 702 retracement. Otherwise, tomorrow I'll have a story for you guys as well at the end of the video. This whole ChatGPT story of something that's kind of impacted my life pretty dramatically over the course of the last month that I've kind of kept hidden from the channel, just to kind of like, I don't know, kind of go through something. And you'll understand tomorrow. But we'll look at the market tomorrow, and then at the very end, I'll give you kind of a story of how ChatGPT was able to make an absolutely insane prediction that ended up being right, and that has completely upended me and my family's entire life. So tune in tomorrow for that one. But all right, that's going to be it for this one, guys. You guys can check out my newsletter over here at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Put out a newsletter twice a month. The most recent one has a 29-minute audio recording on there where I personally voice record all of my newsletters. You can check out bcbacker.com for over 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. There are links within the descriptions of all of my videos to the newsletter at blockchainbacker.substack.com and to bcbacker.com. Otherwise, we survived the Fed meeting and we've got some green action happening there, guys. So we'll see what follow through we have. But all right, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.